HarperCollins and Harper Audio present Warriors, The Broken Code, A Light in the Mist, by Erin Hunter, performed by Macleod Andrews. Prologue. At the edge of the clearing, beneath the starless sky, the dark forest cats watched. Around them, mist billowed in the darkness like warm breath in the ice-cold air. They stared at a warrior. His pelt was bloody and ragged from fighting. It rippled now as he pressed his belly harder against the ground. A white tom circled him slowly. The white cat's flanks showed the scars of countless battles. His eyes shimmered with menace. And yet he did not attack. The watching cat shifted impatiently, but did not speak. Ashfur lashed his tail. Weren't they enjoying the fight? Was it because Snowtuft was hesitating? The fool was tiptoeing around Rootspring like a nervous kit. "Get on with it, you mangy white coward!" Snowtuft glanced at him. Was that doubt in his gaze? Rage surged like fire in Ashfur's chest. Did he have to make every move for these mouse hearts? Rootspring must die. Without speaking, he flicked the simple, vicious instruction at the spirit cats. It energized them, his thought becoming theirs. Their pelts spiked, their ears flattened, their tails bushed as they began to yowl. "Kill him! Slit his throat! Rip him to shreds!" As their screeches filled the darkness, Snowtuft slid into an attack crouch, as fluid as a snake. Eyes wide with panic, Rootspring backed away. Ashfur's rage cooled and hardened until it sat like granite in his belly. He had known this fury for as long as he could remember. It was like an old friend. With it came the certainty that the warriors who thought they'd defeated him would one day pay for their treachery. They'd ignored his suffering, but he would relish theirs. He would end a grudge born long before his death, one that death itself had not ended. How could StarClan have been so stupid? They'd actually believed he'd repented, that he'd forgiven his enemies, even Hollyleaf, his murderer. What fools! They'd had no idea what he'd been planning as he'd pretended to care about their warrior life, hunting, dozing in the sunshine, sharing tongues with friends and kin. It had been enough to make them believe he was one of them, while in secret he'd been exploring every tail length of StarClan's hunting grounds, learning all he could about them. Had they really thought he was going to let Bramblestar and Squirrelfly live in peace? It hadn't taken long to work out that StarClan's power came from its connection to the living clans. If he could disrupt that link, he could expose StarClan for the pathetic bunch of elders they were. Even though their youth and strength had been restored, their minds were feeble with age. Without the connection to their descendants, the StarClan warriors would be nothing but memories, and the living clans, separated from their ancestors, would become as vulnerable as prey. It had been easier than he'd expected to close off the existing path to the Dark Forest and the living clans at the edge of StarClan's territory. But he'd known he couldn't seal himself in with the StarClan cats. He'd clawed a tunnel near the heart of StarClan's lands that led deep into the place of no stars. No cat knew of it but him. Slowly, deliberately, he had begun to concentrate power into his own paws, but he still hadn't known how to reach into the living clans. Moons had passed, and all the time Ashfur's rage had grown, yet he'd swallowed it like bitter prey and waited. And then Misty Star had lost her first life, and Ashfur had at last seen a way to return to the lake. He'd watched the dying River Clan leader appear in StarClan, shimmering like a ghost among the star-specked warriors. Leopard Star had greeted her. Her clanmates had clustered around her, eager for a glimpse of their leader before she returned to the living clans to begin her next life. That
Sample complete. Ready to continue?